What is going on, everybody? Welcome back to MLB DFS Swing for the Fences show here on the Run Pure Sports YouTube channel. It's Tuesday, September 16th. A couple more weeks to go in the MLB regular season. And it always feels a little bit weird coming back to Tuesday MLB, Steve, after the football weekend, right? College football, NFL doubleheader last night. I still play MLB DFS, but I'll be honest, I don't watch a lot of MLB games during these NFL football fall weekends. So catching up here on Tuesday, big 11-game slate. And listen, there's not a lot else to gamble on tonight. So I think the people back in the MLB streets here, at least for a couple of days before the football starts back up. How you doing, Steve, on this Tuesday afternoon?
These are busy ass weeks, man. Like, especially since the NFL has taken up more and more of the calendar. As they expand to playing more days. These are busy times, but they're fun times. Had a good weekend myself. Good NFL weekend after a really shitty first week. So almost got there. I basically only had golf and Cowboys game stack. So just couldn't get the right pieces around it for the full nut day, but had a good weekend. And yeah, like you said, we got a week and a half ish left of baseball. More races down the stretch than we had last year, I think, though, especially in like the AL West. We got Houston a half game back of Seattle with the Rangers right their tail playing Houston tonight. It's a huge series. I think we'll be doing the show next Friday, DC, when Seattle is in Houston for a 3 or 4 game set to end the season. So that'll be fun. The NOS is still undecided with the Dodgers and Padres seemingly going back and forth with each other the entire season. I think the Dodgers have a 2-game lead there. And then with the extended wild card, a lot at stake, especially in the American League as far as seeding, right? You got the Yankees and Red Sox going back and forth. AL East has been a war the entire season. And kind of quietly in the NL, Arizona, who's been hot, is only a game and a half back of the Mets, who have just completely tanked. The Reds are only 2 back, and the Giants are only 2 back. So a lot of fan bases that I didn't think were going to be playing meaningful games on September 16th are, which is obviously why they added the extra wild card in the 2 leagues.
Yeah, the extra wild card makes a huge difference in the amount of teams that are competing this late in the season. And I'm kind of of two minds. I did kind of like, the tougher to get into the playoffs in baseball, right? Make the regular season mean something. But I think overall, it is a good change for baseball to have more teams competing for something down the stretch here.
Yeah. Especially when it seems like, Cincy and Arizona, who aren't, the top market teams, not the highest spending teams too, gives them a chance.
100%. And it is Tuesday, so Ticket Tuesday, or at least in theory, Ticket Tuesday will return. Chunk the Deuce, former competitor of ours. He was defeated, and we did remain undefeated on Friday, Steve. I will say,
not because of me.
It wasn't the greatest performance from me, you, or our guy Boom Shack in the free Ticket Tuesday 3-man contest. But yes, in the end, we did remain undefeated. I believe that puts us at 8-0. A few more shows to go here, Steve. So maybe
actually,
we'll give out a ticket.
No, it was last Tuesday when I think my main scored like 46 points. So glad that you got things done last Tuesday. Friday, I think you and whoever we were up against both used the Mets rookie. I think had negative 12 or 13. So that was a little easier on Friday.
That was one of those starts, Jonah Tang. You could tell from like the second batter, like this is
this is not going to work.
Yeah. This is not going to work out today. So that was painful. Thankfully, we don't have to make that decision today. And we're going to get our guy P. Lally into the 3-man. He's been asking for a couple of weeks, loyal Discord member. So Lally, maybe you can put the chat on the board for the first time. We'll get you in the 3-man. Go ahead and DM Steve, and we'll get you set up for that tonight. With that, though, 11 games to talk about. So let's jump into it. We start off in Citi Field. for a pretty big game here between the Padres and the Mets. Michael King going for the Padres, recently back from injury. He's made 2 starts, actually just a 1 start. He did start one on August 9th before going back on the IL, then returned a month later, 7 days ago now. Looked pretty mediocre, honestly, in that start, 63 pitches. He did get through 5 innings, a couple home runs allowed, though, only the 2 strikeouts, 9 fly ball outs in that one. It wasn't great for Michael King. I'm not considering him tonight at what I think is just way too high of a price tag at 9,200. And then the Mets, going to go with Clay Holmes to start, and then I guess Sean Manaea maybe in long relief. I think, Mets are trying to win games right now, right? So what they do, I think, could very well depend on the status of the game once you get to the 3rd, 4th, 5th, 6th inning. But at least a tentative plan for them. Not going to play these Mets pitchers either. Looks like a pretty tough night to hit in Citi Field, at least by Ballpark Pal. Clearly the toughest hitting environment on the slate. So a lot of good games on this slate, I think, Steve. I'm not sure this is one of them. I'd be surprised if we saw either team really smash. I honestly think if I had to go to one, it would be the Mets side, just because I don't know what we're going to see from Michael King. But I think there are better spots on this game, Steve. Not going to spend too much time here. Anything you really like from Padres and Mets?
The under. I took the under this morning in this game. I think it's probably 5 and fly for King again, as they're really ramping him up for the postseason. No need to have him go super deep with how just elite their bullpen is. Both of these teams with excellent bullpens. Been kind of talking about this with Manaea every time he started, is that he's looked really good, 1, 1.5, 2 times through the order, has gotten shelled multiple times in like the 5th and 6th innings in his starts. I kind of like this idea, just kind of, broad scope for the Mets going forward, kind of piggybacking 2 arms who, haven't really pitched this deep into a season in a while, and are probably going to be much more effective just going through the lineup once. So not DFS related, but more of just for the Mets in general. I think this is the right call and something that we've kind of been calling for a couple weeks. But yeah, no interest in the arms here. And I'm with you. The bats, not a ton of interest either, just because of the strength of the bullpen. Both these teams need to win these games, specifically the Mets, who are just holding on for dear life here. So I expect a low-scoring game. I couldn't believe that the total opened at 8.5 this morning. I took under 8. I think it's down to 7.5 now. So no bats for me on either side to kick off the slate. Actually, no players at all on either side, pitchers or bats.
Yeah, we're just going to go ahead and pretend this game in New York doesn't exist. Actually, probably a good game to watch for real baseball fans, but DFS-wise, better spots to go to. That's actually the only game that locks at that 7:10 Eastern time. We do jump forward 25 minutes to Tampa Bay for the Blue Jays and the Rays. This one in Steinbrenner Field, which won't play maybe quite as friendly today as it sometimes does, but still probably a neutral ballpark overall. A little bit of winds blowing in, looks like, from center field tonight in Tampa. 2 righties here. Ryan Pepio going for the Rays, rather. He's been solid for them, actually better than solid recently. Six pretty good starts in a row for Pepio. Not really on my list today, honestly, against the Blue Jays, so I just don't take very many pitchers against, especially in the second half of the year. Even if they pitch well, they're pretty unlikely to get enough strikeouts to really break the slate. So not a lot of interest in Pepio or Jose Barrios on the other side. Neither of these stacks really stand out to me, in terms of just individual plays, right? There's nobody in this game that I feel like I kind of have to get to or build stacks around, but I also wouldn't be surprised at all to see either of these teams get it going. It does seem like the Rays, Steve, just anecdotally, just kind of have random big games in this park, sometimes in just kind of average matchups like they have against Barrios. So I do think they're interesting as a contrarian stack. Blue Jays are expensive, but man, they sure do get it done often What are you looking at here, Steve, with Blue Jays and Rays?
Yeah, I'm not on either pitcher here. Didn't get to either in this park, kind of for different reasons. Pepe has actually been real good in this park. I'm just like, you're not going to take literally any right-handed pitcher against Toronto right now.
Yeah.
Top 3 offensive baseball. They've been so consistently good, and they don't strike out. And then I just don't trust Brios's volatility in this park at his price tag. So kind of with you. These teams are really hard to stack right now because they have been hot offensively. We've got the Rays confirmed lineup in here. You see the price tags of the top 5-6 guys, just pretty prohibitive on a big slate up against a pitcher who, Brios, I feel like every season ends between like a 3.8 and a 4 ERA. I think he's at like 4.01 right now or something like that. It's just so consistent over the years.
There's a few of these pitchers like Barrios where, like, been doing these shows for most of Barrios' career, I think, or maybe even his whole career. And like, I don't have that much more to say about the guy. He's just the same dude every single season and start, right?
Yeah. It's hard to come up with new things to say about him on shows. But yeah, I mean, I think you can take one-off bats here. I do prefer the Tampa side just because of the volatility that Barrios has shown. Especially on the road. No real interest in Simpson up top, but the power bats, Yandy, Brandon Lowe, Caminero, Josh Lowe, not going to screw at the bottom of the order here. And then Toronto, like we said, the guys who you want are super expensive coming out of that last series. So Springer's up to almost 6K. Vlad, who's been red hot over the last couple of weeks, hitting 400 over the last 2.5 weeks. Pretty prohibitive price tag. So I think it's only going to be one-offs from this game and not going to screw with the bottom of the order on either side.
Yeah, you will get both teams pretty low owned and a good park to hit. So I don't think they're craziest stacks to go to, but again, I'm with you. Not super high on my personal list tonight. Let's go to Chicago, right field for the White Sox and the Orioles. 2 teams with nothing to play for here. Down the stretch, we have seen, some of these teams that have like youngsters coming up, right? Those guys still have plenty to play for, proving themselves. But really all players do, but we have seen some life out of both these teams in the second half of the year, particularly offensively. Pretty good matchup offensively, really, for both teams here. Shane Smith going for the White Sox. He's been okay for them. Tough season for the Sox. Shane Smith been decent overall. I think you could still definitely use hitters against him. And I do kind of like some of these youngsters for the Orioles just in general. Holiday, Henderson, Beavers, Basallo. They're guys that I kind of like to be in on at reasonable price points. That's true tonight. I think they're pretty good plays against Shane Smith. And then, of course, really, really bad White Sox bullpen behind him. And then Dean Kramer going for the Orioles. I'll put him kind of in that Jose Barrios bucket, and he's usable in some starts, good matchups. Also a pitcher you can certainly take hitters against, particularly left-handed bats.
Yep.
Some of these White Sox have been good to us. Kyle Teal, Colson Montgomery in particular. I don't love the rest of these hitters really, but I do like that 2-man stack. Teal at 4K at catcher, and then Montgomery 4,200. He's just still too cheap, right, for the home run upside he brings to the slate every single night. So I do like that a little bit from the White Sox side. And then kind of the same thing on the Orioles for me, at least, mostly looking at the lefty bats, Holiday, Henderson, Beavers, and Basallo, the 4 guys that I'm really looking at. Steve, what do you see here between the Orioles and the White Sox?
Yeah, I'll start with the pitching. I think Smith is playable here. Been really good against right-handed bats. Like you said, struggling a bit against lefties. He's been their best pitcher. He was a here. Got like a 2.8 ERA in 44 innings since the start of August. He's been fairly lucky with a BABIP under 200, but I think just a solid mid-rotation pitcher. He projects pretty well here at 7K, just because this version of the young O's lineup does have a lot of swing and miss, 4th highest strikeout rate in the split over the last month. So I'm going to have some Smith, but I think I'm also going to have some of these Baltimore lefties. I'm not going to use the right-handed bats against them. They do get Westberg off the IL today, so thank God no more Emmanuel Rivera hitting fifth for my O's. But yeah, it'll be the left-handed bats here that I'm going to use on the Baltimore side. And then I agree. So Kramer missed his last start. I'm not sure if you saw. They skipped him last start due to forearm discomfort. Never something that you want to see from a pitcher, especially one like Kramer, who's had his fair share of injuries. He's been really bad outside of Camden this season. 5.53 ERA, 1.5 WHIP outside of Camden Yards. Might not be 100% here with pretty bad bullpen behind him himself. I'm with you on the White Sox lefty bats here. I think we could see some runs in this game. It's pretty warm here in Chicago. It's 80 degrees right now. So I'm not going to be full stacking either side, but I do like one-offs and minis, the lefties from both sides here.
Yeah, I think that makes sense. And Shane Smith, 7K, actually pitching really well, kind of maybe undersold his recent performances. And like you mentioned, I do kind of like some of the Orioles bats, but a big part of that is because they're cheap, right? Yeah. So, Shane Smith, 7K. I do think he should be added to the list of potential pitchers to use tonight, especially if you're looking for a cheaper option to get in some Coors bats or Yankees or whatever you're looking at for high-end hitters. Let's go to the Yankees and the Twins next. This one in Target Field. Going to be a nice night for hitting here. Warm. I think maybe the hottest weather game actually on the entire slate in Minnesota here. Hot and humid, which always means the ball should be flying. We'll get two pitchers that I think both of us like quite a bit long-term here. Zebby Matthews for the Twins. I've definitely played way too much Matthews over these last couple of months.
Well, he had the start against the Angels last time out and just could not throw a competitive pitch.
It hasn't been great with the Zebby starts. He did have a couple good ones back in early August, but overall, he's been struggling. The splits are getting pretty severe with Matthews. I don't know if you've noticed that, but man, he's been crushed by left-handed hitters so far. I do think better days are ahead for Matthews, but
tough spot here.
He's got a couple more starts left in the season. I'm not sure he's going to turn the corner quite yet. So we talked about the Yankees a lot on this show, but I think rightfully so. I mean, there's no question they've broken more slates than any team recently. It seems like it's a couple times a week. You got to have multiple Yankees at least. Oftentimes the Yankees stack to be up there in GPP. So they're expensive, but they're just so much power in this team that they got to be in play, especially with the good hitting weather. Again, I do lean the lefties, right, if I'm kind of choosing between these guys. But when your two right-handed bats are Judge and Stanton mashing for power too, obviously you can play them as well if you're stacking the Yankees. So I got to be in on the Yankees here. Again, probably mostly playing the lefties, but no problem, of course, with Judge, Stanton. And then Schlittler on the other side had the bad start against the Blue Jays 2 starts ago, but easy to give him a pass on that one, right? The Blue Jays have done that to a lot of really good pitchers over the last few months. Beyond that, though, I mean, 5 of his last 6 starts have been really good. The strikeouts have been there. The Yankees trust him. He's been 90-plus pitches in 4 of the last 5. Just wasn't against Toronto. Just got knocked out early after an inning and 2/3 in that one. But Schlittler, I don't know if you could hear that thunder, but big storm overhead.
Is that what that is? Oh, my God.
Yeah. No kidding. But I like Schlittler as a pitcher, and this matchup's, I think, pretty good overall. It's not that, not a very threatening Twins lineup. Some guys you can play for cheap from time to time, but overall, I don't mind picking on them. And I like Schlittler as a lot as a pitcher. So I'm in here on Schlittler. What are you doing with the Yankees and Twins?
Yeah, it looks like he's going to come in low owned too. We've got under 10% on him, kind of getting squeezed as everyone goes to Peralta up top and then kind of mixes and matches SP2. I agree. He had one totally forgivable bad outing against the Blue Jays, who have given plenty of right-handed pitchers fits. He's got 18 plus DK in 5 of his last 6 starts, and he's got a really good strikeout prop here, over 5.5, with pretty good juice on the over. I think he's got to be in your pool. I'm surprised that he's getting a lot less ownership here than Shohei Ohtani, who has much less duration upside, is in a much tougher matchup. I kind of like Schlittler here over Shohei. We'll talk about him later. Definitely at this ownership, we'll be over on him. Going to the bats, fully agree on the Zebby thing. He's a volatile high strikeout arm, which is why we've played him some. But man, he's getting crushed by left-handed bats, especially ones that don't strike out that much. And that's basically the top half of the Yankees order with Rice, Bellinger, Trent Grisham. You add Jazz and Wells in the bottom of the order too. You got 5 lefties here. I think, if you're picking off 1, 2, and 3 mans, you want the lefties, and then, like you said, the right-handed bats you can add in with the full stack. I don't know. We do have the Yankees lineup here. Volpe's back in there for whatever reason. It's kind of a bummer. I was enjoying the Caballero ride, where he just steals every time he gets on base. But yeah, I think the Yankees are arguably the top stack on the entire slate. Everyone's going to go to Coors with 2 horrific offenses. I'm going to keep playing the Yankees. They've been the winning 5-man at least 2 or 3 times in the last weeks since we did last Tuesday's show. So again, going to keep riding that. They're expensive, but there are plenty of cheap pitchers that are playable on the slate that make them work.
What really stands out to me is the Schlittler ownership.
Yeah, that's what I was just saying. Wow.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's pretty close between him and Ohtani, but I would actually choose Schlittler just to score more points if I had to choose one. And if he's really going to be a third of the ownership of Ohtani, I think those are the types of pivots you look for, right? Where you like someone just as much and they are the same price and a third of the ownership. So definitely in on Schlittler. I bet he'll come in higher than Saber predicts, but
yeah.
It would have to be significantly higher before I would think he wasn't a good play. So definitely going to be in on some Cam Schlittler tonight. Let's go to Milwaukee for the Angels and the Brewers at American Family Field. It'll be right-hander Freddie Peralta going for the Brewers. He's got kind of a strange profile, Steve, where he's just not able to get very deep into games. Like literally can't get into the 7th inning ever. It seems like, it's almost all 5 and 6 inning starts for Peralta. That said, though, I mean, he's missing bats per inning as high or higher than anyone in baseball right now. And man, I got my color-coded sheet here with strikeout rates versus righties, and it's just all red from the Angels, the entire lineup. Peralta, obviously he's been outstanding at home. The strikeout rate jumps even higher. And this matchup, I mean, even if he only goes 5 innings, he could get double-digit strikeouts here, I think, somewhat easily. So this is just chalk. I think I'm just going to eat it. I mean, is that 9 right-handers in the lineup for it looks like it. 9 righties, I think, for the
look at this lineup for the Angels. So they just put Neto on the IL. I don't know who Denzer Guzman is. They've got he isn't even in the pool. The ex-Nats first round pick, who's been a complete bust, is hitting 7th. This is, I think, pretty clearly the worst lineup of the season for the Angels here. I mean, 1 and then 6 through 9 are just not MLB level hitters.
And especially, I mean, if you look at like Peralta, his best pitch is that kind of sweeping slider sweeper that he has. If he's able to throw strikes and get ahead of these guys, I mean, you could see a lot of 1-2, 0-2 counts and then just waves at that slider right outside the zone. Like, if he's on his game and able to throw strikes, I think Peralta just has massive, massive strikeout upside here. And I know he hasn't gone deep into games, but it's not like the Brewers don't let him throw enough pitches to do so, right? He's 90+ pitches every time out. So
He threw 113 last start.
yeah, which kind of wish he didn't, but
I know.
even so, we saw, I think it was Yamamoto had a brilliant start after a huge pitch count outing. So yeah, a small concern there, but what do we have? 35%, 30 to 40% on Peralta.
Seems
Probably
too low.
high.
It seems
What's
too
that?
low.
Too low. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm going to be over that for sure here.
Me too. No free squares in DFS or baseball, but the strikeouts are I just can't click away from it. I just gotta. This is one of those where if it
home device,
like if it goes bad, it's like,
yeah.
I wasn't ever moving off Peralta, so it is.
Well, the issue is, say, as we're getting into NFL season, more people are playing single entry stuff in baseball just because of the contests. So let's say the 121, if you fade Peralta here, man, it's going to be tough because he can put up 10, 12 strikeouts in this spot. His K prop is at 8.5 now. Outs prop over 17.5 is minus one.
What'd you say the K's was 8.5?
Yeah, it's at 8.5.
It's a big number. Yeah.
Over 17.5 outs is juiced. So they're expecting 6 innings, 7 or 8 strikeouts from him. And I think there's upside for more. Like you said, he's been just nails at home the entire season. He's got 95 Ks and 83 innings at home with a 1.72 ERA, 1.02 whip at home this year. It's just the perfect spot. He's expensive and he's going to be popular, but I think he's fully worth it. And, we haven't talked about much pitching yet because there isn't that much high upside pitching. I think there's huge opportunity costs in fading him, especially in single entry.
There's just certain chalk that you just got to eat, and a really good pitcher in a perfect spot, right? Like a truly like a perfect spot. Those are the kind of the chalk plays that I think are the right ones to take. So I'm with you in on Peralta. I assume you're off the Angels offense.
Yeah.
But what about the Brewers? I think a really, really good spot for them. Been one of my most profitable teams that I've played this season for sure. You get the matchup here with Caden Dana, who
sucks.
I think he's just bad all the way around, right? I really don't see much here to think that he's going to have any success. I mean, he's got a 6.3 ERA. I kind of think that's, right where he would be if he continues to make starts at the big league level, aka one of the worst pitchers making starts at the big league level. So You got to have interest here, I think, in the Brewers bats. Looks to me like you can play either side of the plate somewhat equally against Dana. Slightly prefer the lefties. He also struggles to control the run game. The walk rates have been high. And this feels like a spot where we could see the Brewers, man, they just have some of these games where you just have to have them by like the third inning, right? They've got like 4 steals, someone hits a home run, and all of a sudden all these guys got 20 fantasy points. Love the Brewers tonight. One of my favorite stacks on this slate. What are you doing with the Brewers offense, Steve?
Yeah, the way they score, it's the perfect team to 5-man, right?
Yeah.
Hit, double steal, RBI double, and you're just rolling. I've got the Brewers as the number 1 stack tonight. Best spot on the slate, in my opinion. You mentioned the walk issues, 14.3% walk rate for Dana so far, and that was a big issue in the minor leagues. I remember his first start when he came up. We had mentioned that too. So that is a big issue against a team and a lineup like the Brewers, who will take walks and then take bases with the free passes. So I'm with you here. I've got the Brewers in my top stack. Brewers 5-man will be in my core tonight. We don't have the lineup yet, but pretty fair price tags across the board. They've got Bauer's back, so there's a bit of pinch hit risk with him at first, but not really concerned because of the ownerships here, because we do have cores on the slate. I don't think that the Brewers will be super owned, and I think it's just by far the best spot. So got an awful bottom 10 bullpen behind Dana, so hopefully get into that early. And yeah, I mean, can't really say anything bad about this lineup. Churio's been awesome since coming back as well. So just lengthens the top half, hoping to be able to play, like a 2 through 6 or something. But I mean, Durbin and Ortiz are fine, cheap plays as well. And they're at middle infield positions, which, if you've been playing over the last 2 weeks or so, second, third have been really tough positions to fill lately, especially within stacks.
Yeah, Dana through four appearances, rather 53% first pitch strike rate, which would be on the very, very low end for pitchers. Zone rate below 50%. So he's falling behind hitters, falling behind in the counts, and then generating whiffs or not even whiffs, chases outside the zone at just an 18% rate. So he's not throwing strikes. He's not getting anyone to chase on his, breaking ball, stuff like that. Those are the pitchers where it can just go south in an absolute hurry, and I wouldn't be surprised to see the Brewers get off to a very hot start in this game. I'm with you. My favorite overall stack of the day. That's the first half of this slate. Good time to remind everybody, hit the like button if you're here grinding MLB with us here deep into September. We appreciate the support. And, of course, if you want more DFS help, advice, winners, bets, DFS, otherwise, head on over to runpuresports.com. We've got several different packages available. Great time of the year, obviously, with football, baseball going, UFC, into the golf season, and NBA coming up as well. So go on over to runpuresports.com, use promo code RPS15 for a discount on your first payment. Let's go to Kansas City. We've got Kauffman Stadium here for the Mariners and the Royals. Another game with playoff implications here. It'll be two right-handers. Michael Wacha going for Kansas City. I don't play a lot of Michael Wacha, and we'll probably stick to that here. Just, rarely gets more than the 4 or 5 strikeouts that you need. So not, a decent strikeout matchup actually for Wacha, but didn't make my list today. And I don't think Logan Gilbert's a bad play necessarily here at 10K, but I mean, he's got an ERA over 5 on the road this year, Steve.
Yeah.
There's some noise to that for sure, but I just don't play Gilbert on the road. And honestly, that's been a good decision, for the vast majority of his starts. I just think he's overpriced when it comes to his road starts for the most part. And I definitely think that's true here against a low strikeout Royals team. So actually kind of a tight pitching pool for me today. Gilbert, I just can't play him over Peralta, and there are some cheaper guys. I like Schlittler better than Gilbert. So I'm not going to get to him myself. Not really playing Wacha, but I don't know. Reminds me a little bit of the Mets-Padres game, good real-life baseball game. I'm not sure how much DFS action I'm going to have in this one. What are you doing with Mariners and Royals?
Yeah, just have to pay 10K for Gilbert on the road against a team that doesn't strike out at all. Probably not going to get there. Just going to shove. He's 15% here projected. I'll just add that on top to my Peralta ownership.
Yeah,
him from 35 to 50 is probably what I'll do here. I think the Mariners bats are okay here. Wacha has been really good at home, but kind of shaky of late. Don't love the full stacks in this spot. This is kind of a cross off game. This is kind of like the Mets Padres game where both teams kind of need this. The Mariners definitely need this game. Probably just be one that I watch. I'm going to leave one-offs in on the Mariners side, the top 6. I'm going to leave in there for one-offs against Wacha, but no bats against Gilbert. I just probably see a low upside 15 to 20-ish DK score for him. He's kind of got the same issue that Peralta's had lately, where he's had really deep innings. Even his last start, where he managed to, what did he end up with? So it was at home against the Cardinals. He ended up with 20. This guy had 55 pitches through 2 innings, and that's been happening a lot lately. So just don't love Gilbert here. We'll have a couple of Seattle one-offs and then nothing on the KC side.
Yeah, we are similar. Let's jump to the next game. Your favorite pitcher in the world, Andrew Abbott, going for the Cincinnati Reds here. He'll get this. It's still a good matchup against the Cardinals, but they got Arenado. I know Arenado not a great hitter anymore, but he does have like a minuscule strikeout rate against lefties. Yeah, just not quite the spot that we were looking at with the Cardinals a couple weeks ago. Still a good spot for Abbott, but in a shocking turn of events, I think you might be higher on him than I am. And then Michael McGreevy going for the Cardinals. Been kind of back and forth on him a little bit. I think it's like all Cardinals pitchers, like he's going to have like decent real life outcomes. The fantasy scores, though, are going to be, I think, mostly uninspiring. I did consider him at 6K here against the Reds, and yeah, I think he's a decent way to go, but I do think there are better options. We'll get to a few here down the slate. Yeah, man, I guess we got a few cross-off games here. I mean, we talked about the Mets and the Padres, the Mariners, and the Royals kind of looks like that, and this kind of looks like that one to me too. Not a ton of interest here for me. I do like Ivan Herrera as a one-off at the catcher spot, but overall not super high in this game. Yeah, actually Herrera been crushing it recently, and he's had some run steves where he's just killing left-handed pitchers. Maybe he's in one of those right now. So yeah, I'll throw out Ivan Herrera as a fun play, but overall going to be mostly out on this game. What are you doing with Reds and Cardinals?
Yeah, with me not really playing anyone under Peralta in that top range, I've got Abbott as the second highest priced guy in my pool here. Like you said, I haven't been a big fan of him for much of the season, mostly because the advanced metrics have not agreed with his talent level and his production. That's kind of found him a bit in the back half of the season, 4.5 ERA over the last 2 months, but does get a good matchup, like you said, against the Cardinals here. Not as good as it was a couple weeks ago, like you said, when they were missing. Actually, we do have the Cardinals on. Let me pull it up here. When they were missing Herrera, they were missing Arenado, they were missing Burleson, they're missing Donovan. Those are their top 4 hitters in their lineup tonight. So yeah, it's a much different matchup here. I think he's an okay play just because of the style of the way that he pitches is perfect for Busch Stadium, right? It's going to be a good amount of strikeouts, lots of fly balls in a park where fly balls just go to die. We see it every time we stack against a shitty Cardinals pitcher like Miles Michaelis. So Abbott, I think, is a decent play here. I'm going to have him in the pool in the mid 8K range. And I think McGreevy's interesting too, just because of how poor the Reds lineup has been outside of Great American basically all season. He's completed 6 innings in 6 of his last starts. They kind of let him go. Really the only Cardinals starter that they are letting go deep. The Reds got there last night, but for the most part have not really done much outside of their home park. We saw them not get there all weekend in Sacramento. McGreevy's been really, really good against right-handed hitters. We do have the Cincy lineup tonight. Looks like we got 1, 2, 3, 4. We got 5 righties in the lineup tonight. So it's a good spot for him to have like a clean outing, give you 12 to 15 DK, which at 6K, I'm going to have in the pool, not going out of my way to shove a bunch of McGreevy though. And then, like you said, I think the best plays in this game are the right-handed power one-offs for the Cardinals. I'll be sticking with the top 4 of the order here.
Yeah, I'll double down on the Herrera call, looking at a little bit more into him. He's absolutely crushing the ball right now. You can look up stuff like the rolling xwobographs on Baseball Savant, and he's clearly kind of peaking right now after dealing a little some injuries throughout the season. So Herrera, we'll get to pick 6 at the end, but might be going back to him for that. Let's go to Houston, Rangers and Astros. in Minute Maid Park. Two righties here. Mr. Bluebells, AJ Bluebow going for the Houston Astros. Just pitched the inning last time out. I assume it's not going to be he's on 3 days rest here, so I think it's going to be 2-3 innings probably out of Bluebow. And then we'll see where Houston goes from there. I assume it'll be, kind of an all hands on deck situation with them, right? Trying to win the game. They'll use the relievers that they need to try to get the job done, which has me pretty much out on Texas. Again, I do think a pretty good matchup to start the game here, but I just have a hard time believing it's going to be Texas that puts up a monster score on this 11-game slate. So maybe some value plays. I think Josh Smith leading off is an okay value play, but I'm not going crazy with Texas. And then Merrill Kelly, it's a pretty good individual matchup for him here, right, against the right-handed heavy Astros lineup. But all the way up at 8,700 feels like a lot to me for Kelly against a team that it's not the greatest lineup in the world, but there is something to be said for a team that is like trying their very best to win games, right? So they have the best lineup they could put out there, and they're not throwing away at bats in this one. I do think they're here, and can't say this most of the time for baseball, but you get to these last couple of weeks, and when I'm breaking ties, I don't want to have pitchers going up against lineups that are competing for something, and gonna be dialed in all game. So Kelly didn't make the cut for me at 8,700.
And it's not like he's cheap either. He's 9K here,
Yeah, I'm really not considering him. Probably even gave him more credit than than my personal lineups are considering. What are you doing, Steve, with Texas and Houston?
Kind of with you here. This is basically a cross-off game for me. We have the bullpen game on Houston side. Really tough news that we got during the show. Jordan's going to be out a significant amount of time.
Is it the wrist again?
Ankle injury last night. He's in a boot. I would think at best he DHs or pinch hits in the postseason. But man, what a rough season for him.
He's gonna help one of those guys like a footnote to history, right? He's like one of the best hitters in baseball for 2 or 3 seasons, and I don't know.
It looked really bad. I'm not sure if you saw the video last night. It looked terrible.
I didn't see it.
Like it's a good on paper. If you're just looking at the numbers and weren't considering, the importance of this game, the other factors with Houston, it would be a good spot because Kelly's been good against righties, and we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, at least 6 righties in the Houston lineup. So I think he's a reasonable play, but he was my last cut here. Feels weird playing Andrew Abbott over Kelly, so we'll see how that goes. Finally in on him. I've got one-offs, the first 4 in the Texas lineup, one-offs just because of the power here with Smith, Langford, Berger, and Jock Peterson. Berger's actually been really good for them when he's been healthy, which has been, sparse this season, but, the power has been there. So I do like him as a one-off at first base there at 3,500, and then probably won't play much Houston here. The prospect, Zach Cole, has been really good, hitting 5th tonight for 2,200. I think he's a reasonable punt play.
Yeah, like the call with Zach Cole there for sure makes sense. Got some power, cheap, and does get that big platoon advantage against Merrill Kelly. Let's go to Coors Field, where these storms are already clearing, so no worries on the Rockies game. They'll play, as always. It'll be the lefty veteran Kyle Freeland going for the Rockies. We know he's can't pitch in Coors, bad against righties. And, anytime Freeland's pitching in Coors, right, like the first place you kind of look is at the opposing team's right-handed bats to see which ones you want to play. Do you want to play them into ownership? It's kind of the first question you got to answer on slates like this. I'll be honest, Steve. They got to be in play. The Marlins do because it's still Coors Field, but there's not a lot of hitters that I'm dying to get into my lineups. Agustin Ramirez would be the first guy in, I think,
Yeah.
followed by, I guess, Lopez and Edwards. But, I'm not like gonna kick myself for fading a $5,100 Xavier and Edwards. So yeah, I'll have some Marlins probably end up below the field there, and then on the other side it'll be right-hander Yuri Perez, extremely volatile pitcher, right? I mean, massive arm talent, 98, 99 with the fastball, can maintain that deep into games. Can also just completely fall apart. If you look at two of his last three outings were bad against the Nationals and the Mets. Kind of left-handed heavy lineups though. Before that, he faced Toronto, pitched well against them, was good against St. Louis and Cleveland. Pitch counts even have been kind of all over the place with Perez, but I do think in most situations he throws 90-plus pitches.
Yeah.
He got the big fastball. I know it's Coors Field, but Rockies rolling out 8 righties today. 6,300 for Perez. I mean, this is another one where it's just like, I'm going to play a lot of Perez, and live with the results. So
I think you have to.
Yeah, I do. I have to play a lot of Perez. What are you doing here? Marlins and Rockies.
Yeah, K-prop right at 5.5 here for Perez. I think the duration is going to be just fine. The 2 outings that he was lower are the 2 that he got shelled, which makes sense. I think we see 5-6 innings from Perez here if things are going well. He's got the best strikeout upside of anyone in this range. The concerns are extreme fly ball pitcher pitching at Coors, who's been crushed for power outside of his home park. If you look at his home road splits, DC, he's given up 11 bombs in 43 innings outside of Marlins Park this year. The strikeouts are still there, though. He's got a 6.44 ERA outside of Marlins Park. Now, the majority of that were in the last 2 outings that you talked about, at New York and at Washington, just back-to-back complete clunkers there. Gave up 4 bombs in 4 innings. I think it's a good spot, right? We've been playing much less talented pitchers against the Rockies, especially right-handed pitchers of late. Right-handed pitchers have just crushed, second highest strikeout rate in the split, dead last, weighted runs created plus, 28th in ISO last month. So, I'm going to play Yuri. I think it's totally fine to play some Rockies bats too. Probably won't full stack them, but I think it's totally fine to go to both. Let's see. We've got Yuri right around 15%. I think that's reasonable here.
That's way too low for $6,300 Yuri here. Come on now, Steve.
I will likely have more than 15%, but I think people are also going to play Eduardo Rodriguez at that price, who we'll talk about soon. We talked about Shane Smith, who I think is a good play too. So, just things kind of getting eaten up in that range, but I will be over that for sure. The 2-3-4, actually the 1-2-3-4, really nice here. You get the punt third baseman hitting 9th with Xavier Edwards out, probably good to play the whole game. So I kind of like the wraparound stack if going to Miami. And then, like you said, with the Rockies, 8 right-handed bats is really tough, but they do have power here. Goodman, I think Moniak pretty easily the best play on the Rockies side. Yeah. Blaine Crim is going to strike out a ton, but has big-time power at first, hitting 7th. So I'll probably stick to one-offs, just kind of chasing the home runs against Perez here on the Rockies side.
Yeah. Blaine Crim and his 56% strikeout rate against right-handed pitchers.
Yep. I'm not sure if you've seen him yet. He is a big bastard. I think on Friday he struck out like twice, just humiliatingly, and then hit like a 460-foot home run. So he's that kind of guy.
Sums him up well. Actually, kind of sums up most of that Rockies lineup pretty well. Yeah. It is a good time to bring back my annual segment of how much money does it cost to sit behind home plate in a Rockies game.
I actually have a good one for this. Since the O's are in town in Chicago, I'm going to the 1 p.m. O's White Sox game tomorrow, and I'll probably sit around there. So I will let you know, and I'll put that in the Discord, what I spend for behind home plate 1 p.m. September 17th White Sox tickets tomorrow.
You're going to get them cheaper than I get, but about $25 to be the guy screaming enjoy every time Yuri Perez racks up hopefully one of his 10 to 12 strikeouts tonight. So if you hear someone on the broadcast, maybe that's me. Let's get to San Francisco and Arizona next as we move westward through the slate. You mentioned Eduardo Rodriguez going to get some ownership here at 6,500 against the Giants. It's hard to argue too much against it. I feel like I played Zach Gallen last night. He was good. I feel like I play a lot of Gallen and Erod, just pitching on the West Coast, oftentimes in good matchup. They get the Rockies and the Giants. They're cheap. So, yeah, Erod, I think he's in play at 6,500. Come on. Take the condom off. Play Yuri Perez instead of Eduardo Rodriguez. That's what I'll be doing. Seems like the field is – do they disagree with me on this call too?
They're right about the same in ownership here. We've got about 15% for both.
Yeah, almost exactly the same there. But give me Perez over Eduardo. I still do think Eduardo a good play. And you could pair up two cheap pitchers tonight, I think, and maybe get away with it, right? I mean, Peralta – we do expect the strikeouts to be there, but he's still a 5-6 innings pitcher most of the time. Erod is a good play on paper. No question about it. I do think you can play some of this right-handed power for the Giants.
Yep.
Adames, Chapman, Elliot Ramos all look pretty good plays to me. And then for the Giants, it'll be somewhat of a bullpen game. Tristan Beck going to get the start. What are we thinking? 2-3 innings out of him tops, and then the bullpen will be in after Beck. Steve, what are you doing with Giants and D-backs?
I think this is a sneaky game for runs here. We know the volatility of Erod. Yes, I'll have some of him because of the price tag and the projection. But like you said, I've got the Giants order here. The top 5-6 going to be tough on him. They've hit more lately in the split against lefties. They were struggling for a long time against lefties, but Adames was bad. Chapman was hurt. Devers was up and down. Ramos has been up and down. So, but they do have power in a good park for hitting against a guy who gives up power. So I think I'll keep the Giants to 1, 2, and 3 mans of the power bats in the top 5. But it's an interesting spot for the Snakes here. I feel like you and I are on these spots more than others here. So we've got Tristan Beck opening. He's been terrible. Probably going 2 innings here, followed by Carson Seymour, who has pretty easily the worst advanced metrics on the entire slate. Both these guys are right-handed pitchers. The Giants have 2 lefties in the bullpen, both old guys who each threw 20-plus pitches last night. One of them being Joey Lucchesi, who I don't think at this point in his career is pitching back-to-back nights out of the bullpen. So I think we see 8-9 innings of right-handed pitchers here, which does a couple things, right? Like the top of the order, obviously very good against right-handed pitching. Geraldo Perdomo up to 6.5 WAR this season, one of the best underrated players in the game. Corbin Carroll obviously crushes right-handed pitching. Ketel Marte. But the big thing is for the full stack, you get the pinch hit risk in the bottom of the order without as much risk. Guys like Del Castillo, Alec Thomas, Jake McCarthy, who are your cheap guys that you need if you're going to play the top 3 in this order. So I really like the D-backs here. I think they're going to go completely unowned. And what I think is a good spot, the Giants bullpen is pretty middle of the pack, but one of those spots where, if they get to Beck, if they get to Carson Seymour early, which I think they could, they could just let Seymour eat this. And on a slate where I'm kind of, we're kind of looking for non-Miami course plays. It's definitely behind the Brewers and the Yankees, but I think Arizona is in a really interesting spot here.
Yeah, I like the Arizona call. And good call on the bullpen status for the Giants. My only problem is even if they're in there all game, Castillo and Thomas and McCarthy, these guys don't do a whole lot very often, Steve. Even in
No,
good
it just helps though, especially
yeah,
if you're doing the full stack.
for sure. Let's get to the last game of the night. Fun one between the Dodgers and the Phillies. Going to be Shohei Ohtani on the mound for the Dodgers. Results pitching wise for him haven't been as good as they should be or as good as they will be, I think, going forward. His stuff looks still fantastic to me. We saw Sheehan come out of the bullpen, pitch really well against this Phillies team. I do like Ohtani, but we talked about, the difference, at least in projected ownership, between Ohtani and Cam Schlittler, which has me shying away a little bit from Ohtani just at ownership. I just don't think he is justified to be 2-3 times more owned than Schlittler. Still do think he pitches well and puts up a pretty big score here, but I will say I think you're pretty much capped at 5 innings with Ohtani. I don't think they're going to push him past that. Even if things are going well, I think they'll just take their 5 and, maybe in his last start of the year they push him to 6 or something to get ready for the playoffs. But I think you're seeing 5 innings most of the time out of Ohtani here against Philly, which it still could be enough. So I think he's obviously a decent play at 8K. And then our guy, Christopher Sanchez, going for the Phillies. I think is he a firm second in the Cy Young contention for the NL?
He's got to be him or Webb,
Yeah, must be right there. He's been awesome. Just DFS was the only drawback you could say to Sanchez is his greatness comes more from the consistency than it does the upside, right? It's a lot of 25 plus fantasy point outings out of Sanchez, which don't get me wrong, it's great. And I would play him tonight too for 25 fantasy plus points. Tough matchup, obviously, though, against the Dodgers. I've honestly played Sanchez like almost every slate that I've played that he's been on. I think I'm going elsewhere tonight. Are you sticking with Sanchez, and what are you doing with what looks like a pretty popular Shohei Ohtani?
Yeah, I don't have Sanchez in the pool here.
Yeah.
Just a low strikeout matchup, not just a tough one, but a low strikeout one against the Dodgers, who much lower strikeout rate in the split against lefties, third lowest over the last couple of weeks. Tough spot for Ohtani here too. Our guy Sheehan got it done last night, but you're still running Ohtani with a max of 5 innings going up against a team that doesn't strike out in the split. Bottom 5 K rate, number 1 weighted runs created plus, number 2 ISO over the last month. It's a bet on talent spot, right? This could easily be a Shohei 9 Ks in 5 innings, which is why you have to have some. But I'm a bit weary at this ownership level. What does the Sabre have now? 27%, on Shohei. Seems kind of high. I'll probably smooth that out a bit. Like I said, I like Abbott and I like Schlittler in that range. And then, I'm off of Sanchez here, but I don't really like any bats. I just kind of see a low-scoring game, not a lot of strikeouts, which will kill Sanchez's upside. But I'm also not stacking against his 60-some% ground ball rate.
No interest in the Dodgers bats for me. Should be a great game to watch to cap the slate. But DFS-wise, the thing with Ohtani, too, is, you don't feel that bad fading him because if you really think he's capped at 5 innings, I don't know, 90% of the time, he has to be so perfect in those 5 to really hurt you, right, for not playing him at 8K. And we know the volatility for all pitchers is here. Like we've seen every pitcher.
His outs prop on DK, 14.5, basically even money. So maybe not even 5 innings in the win, even if he's pitching well.
Yeah, I think I'm going to jump off of Ohtani for the most part, mostly to Mr. Schlittler. But speaking of that, let's get to our favorite pitching plays on the slate. Steve, who are you looking at pitcher tonight on DraftKings?
So as we went through, I've been kind of narrowing down my pool. This is my pool for tonight in my 20 lineups. Definitely going to have Peralta on my main. Have to decide on SB2. I think it's probably going to be Perez. It'll depend on, I think we probably got the Brewers lineup while we were on the show, but probably Peralta and Yuri. But if not, I have no issue going to a Schlittler or a Shane Smith as a SB2 here.
I think I'm down to 3 guys playing the 5 lineups as I normally do on DraftKings. To me, Peralta, Schlittler, and Yuri Perez are the 3 that I really want to play. Sound like you're somewhat similar, but once you factor in pricing and ownership, those are the 3 guys that I feel best about tonight on DraftKings GPPs. Steve, let's go to stacks. Your top 3 stacks you're looking at.
Yeah, the Brewers are going to be my number 1 stack. Brewers and Yankees are my 2 top ones. And then I mentioned Arizona as a sneaky off-the-board stack, just kind of given the plan of the Giants here. So it'll be Brewers, Yankees, Arizona.
Yeah, I am similar here too. Brewers, my number 1. First team in for me. Yankees are second. I'm not going to give the same 3 as you, so I will go. I will go at least somewhere else. Give me the White Sox against Dean Kramer, specifically Teal and Montgomery there in the 2-3 hole. Steve, let's jump over to pick 6 quick. We'll throw one in here. I will switch up the screen share for the people. There we go. All right. I want to start off with our guy, Yuri Perez, both pretty high on him. I think it's the strikeouts we want with Perez. So let's take 4.5 strikeouts to the over with Perez. You got somewhere you want to go next?
Yeah, Caden Dana over 1.5 earned runs allowed. Angels.
I do. Yeah, I do like these over 1.5 for these.
Actually,
especially against a team like the Brewers, right? Who's not going to strike out?
Well, also, if we don't hit that, we aren't winning on our main team anyways. So, I actually think that ever since we've done this for the last couple of weeks, every of the over earned runs has hit fairly easily. So,
yeah, certainly haven't hit on everything, but those have been good.
Yeah.
I really like Schlittler tonight. Yeah, you like the outs or the strikeouts better? 5.5 strikeouts, 15.5 outs.
Let's see. His outs prop on DK, I was just looking at it, is right at that 15.5 with even juice on both sides. I kind of like the K's more.
Yeah. It's more fun anyway. We'll go with the strikeouts on Cam Schlittler. What do you got next for us, Steve?
Corbin Carroll, over 1.5 hits, runs, RBIs. I like that.
Me too. So, yeah, we'll get Carroll in there. That is 4 picks.
What about Zebby over 1.5 earned runs against the Yankees?
Yeah, that's another good one. Stone lock, as I always say. Zebby Matthews over 1.5 earned runs. We need 1 more. Peralta's K prop probably too high.
What about his outs?
What about McGreevy outs? Goes 6 innings every time out.
Yeah, let's see. McGreevy. They don't have outs for him. Damn.
That would be the one that I would want.
Yeah. They have over 17.5 outs for Freddie. Pretty scary, given that he hasn't done that too often, but it's just such a perfect spot for that to happen here. I don't know.
All right, I'll ride with Freddie. We're riding with him anyway, so we'll burn it all down in one fell swoop. We'll take the over on 17.5 outs for Freddie Peralta. We've got that along with over 1.5 earned runs for Zebby Matthews, Corbin Carroll over 1.5 hits, runs, RBIs, Cam Schlittler to rescored 6+ strikeouts, Caden Dana to allow over 1.5 earned runs, and Yuri Perez 5+ strikeouts. That'll do it for the pick 6 and this MLB show. It'll be me and Stats Back tomorrow talking baseball. But until then, he's Steve Boyden. I'm DC. We're out of here.